What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best Tariq build in Fellowship. So in this guide we are covering everything that you need to know how to build the lightning setup and play Tariq effectively, from his best talents and the gear setups, to the stat priorities, relic choices and optimized rotations for both single target and AoV fights. Overall, Tariq is a melee DPS powerhouse who channels the raw energy of the lightning through the furious weapon strikes. His entire playstyle revolves around his swing timer mechanic and his primary resource, the Fury. Now, Fury functions as a built-in spend resource bar, so powering your core abilities. And then, on the other hand, the swing timer is represented by a bar next to your character that's constantly moving, showing when your next auto attack will land. When the moving line will hit the end of this bar, your attack will trigger, and that's where the timing becomes everything. The Tariq's heavy strike can be empowered if you activate it right near the end of the bar, but here's the catch: any other ability you press within that final zone will cancel it. So mastering this mechanic, learning when to lock your heavy strikes and when to maintain your Fury flows, is what separates a good Tariq from a great one. On top of this, his Fury generation can vary depending on your talents, the gear and the uptime. So instead of a strict rotation, you will follow a priority system. You'll generate Fury with the core skills, and then decide how to spend it based on the number of enemies you're facing, while adjusting on the fly between single target and AoV fights. Also, if you're interested in buying Fellowship with a 30% discount or even other PC or console games with 50 to 70% off, then check out Instant Gaming. For example, I want to buy Elden Ring, so we just click on Add to Cart, then click Pay, and then finish the purchase. After payment is complete, we will receive an activation key, so copy and paste it in your Steam, and it's that simple. Click my link in the description to check out Instant Gaming for yourself. So let's take a look at the talents, and we are focusing on the Tariq's lightning specialization. It's the strongest all-around setup by scaling perfectly through every tier of content and synergizing with his key abilities to amplify both the burst and sustained damage. At early levels, you will pick up the Blood Thunder, which is the cornerstone of your lightning kit. It empowers your attacks to trigger electrical bursts and start building that fast, kinetic feel that the Tariq is known for. Then you add Ride the Lightning, which gives your movement and strikes extra chaining potential. From there you will start using Kill Them All and For Beyond Driven, which both of them will feed into your Fury generation and the raw output, making your heavy attacks more rewarding and consistent. Then Crack the Sky and the Thunderstruck will supercharge your burst windows by converting your base abilities fully into the lightning damage and allowing your swings to arc through multiple targets. Then by the mid levels, Mouth for War will bring Sustain into the mix by adding a lifesteal benefit that keeps you in the fight, even when things get rough. And finally, as you cap your build with a Spit It Out, you will see everything come together. Your crits will hit harder, your Fury generation becomes smoother, and your entire kit feels like a rolling thunderstorm of melee damage. Once you reach the full 13-point setup, you will want to have the Blood Thunder, Thunderstruck, Kill Them All, Mouth for War, Crack the Sky, Ride the Lightning, Far Beyond Driven and Spit It Out. By using all of this, Tariq will become a kinetic engine of destruction, so every swing will crackle with energy, every leap will detonate into the lightning, and your rotation will feel incredibly powerful. Then, when it comes to gear, your best in slot setup is focusing on maximizing cooldown uptime and empowering your burst windows. The top weapon is the Faithful Basher, and honestly, nothing else comes close to it. It offers a massive amount of cooldown reduction and perfectly complements your lightning-focused playstyle. The faster that you can reset your abilities, the more often you can leap, shock and demolish everything in your path. If you haven't acquired the Faithful Basher yet, then the Wildstone Crusher is a solid alternative. It's not quite as effective, but it offers a great Fury sustain and reliable damage output while you grind for the best in slot weapon. Then for your legendary, you want a Drape of the Slayer King. This cloak is absolutely insane for the Tariq. Whenever you use Leap Smash, enemies hit by the impact will take 20% more damage. Considering how Leap Smash cooldown can get with a haste, this legendary essentially will give you near constant uptime on that debuff, which will amplify all of your damage during burst windows. It is one of those legendaries that feels tailor-made for the Tariq's kit. Every leap, every shockwave, and every follow-up strike will benefit directly. Combine this with the Faithful Basher, and you will find yourself tearing through the enemies at a lightning speed, literally. Next up we have Relics, and your go-to Relics is the Sin-Bidding Stone and the Ancient Pottery Fetish. The Sin-Bidding Stone will grant a team-wide 15% damage reduction for 15 seconds on a short cooldown. It's an incredible defensive tool, especially during very high damage boss phases. The Pottery Fetish meanwhile is just hilarious and effective. It permanently will turn a non-boss enemy into a chicken. It's perfect for disabling a dangerous elite or erasing a big dungeon pull. If you're missing those, then the Grimoire of Resurrection is a fantastic backup, offering a combat resurrection to bring fallen allies back to the fight. Then Orb of Shadows can also come into clutch, or Sneaky Group Skips, which will grant a party-wide invisibility for 15 seconds. And then other solid picks will include the Ancient Warstone, which dispels all the harmful magic effects from you and your allies. And then the Salt Wash Elixir, which is a strong personal emergency heal that restores 40% of your health instantly. Now let's talk about stats, because optimizing these is where you really will start to feel your build come alive. For Tariq, your main priority order is Strength, Haste, Expertise, Crit, and then the Spirit. The Strength is your main stat and the foundation of everything you do. It boosts the raw damage, increases your survivability, and should always take precedence when comparing gear. In Fellowship, item level is king. If it's a higher level, then it's almost always an upgrade. Next up is the Haste, and this one is huge. The Haste will let you swing faster, charge the Fury more effectively, and trigger the Blood and Thunder effect more often. It also reduces the cooldowns of your key abilities, especially the Leap Smash, which ties directly into your legendary synergy. Then Expertise is your steady and reliable multiplier, which is a flat increase to all damage and healing. It might not have the flashy procs or crit, but it adds consistent power across every part of your kit. Then the Critical Strike will give you that exciting burst potential, doubling the damage of your abilities when it procs. It synergizes beautifully with a Spit It Out talent, which amplifies the crit damage even further, by turning lucky hits into devastating spikes. And then finally, the Spirit rounds out your stats. It reduces the cooldowns of your ultimate, the Raging Tempest, and occasionally will refund Fury on your spenders. It's a decent bonus, though not something to chase aggressively. Next we go gems. At lower levels, you don't want to waste your reroll currency trying to perfect tier 1 gems. You want to save the currency for the higher tiers, once you start climbing into the Paragon levels and beyond, and that's where the gem optimization will really start to pay off. When prioritizing your early setup, you want to go for the Topaz first, then followed by Amethyst for the crit, then Ruby for the main stat, then Emerald, then Diamond, and finally the Sapphire in this order. The general idea is simple. You upgrade your speed and Fury generation first, then stack in the offensive scaling as you gear up. Once you've hit the higher tiers, then the gem synergy will become a major factor in pushing your lightning build to its absolute potential. And now finally, let's see how to actually play this build. As mentioned earlier, the Tariq's gameplay will revolve around managing his swing timer and spamming Fury efficiently. The trick is to maintain the rhythm, so watching the bar, lining up your heavy strikes at the right moment, and never wasting Fury for the overcapping, because Fury generation can fluctuate, so Tariq does not follow a strict rotation. Instead, he uses a priority system which will look like this. So your top priorities is the Thunder Call, then the Chain Lightning, then the Leap Smash, then the Wild Swing, then the Face Breaker, and then the Heavy Strike. The Thunder Call is the core of your damage engine. It empowers your spenders to deal lightning damage, chaining between nearby enemies and juicing your AoE potential. Then the Chain Lightning and the Wild Swing will build Fury quickly, while the Face Breaker and the Heavy Strike will act as your heavy hitting finishers. Then when it comes to spenders, you've got 3 key abilities: the Hammer Storm, the Skull Crusher, and the Culling Strike. The Hammer Storm is your go-to AoE spender. It's perfect for multiple targets. Then the Skull Crusher is your single target option, ideal for bosses or elites. And then the Culling Strike is your execute, which is a brutal finisher that should only be used when the target's below 30% health. Then outside of this core rotation, you will be combining in cooldowns like the Focus Rat, which buffs your next 2 spenders and lower their Fury cost, so always use it on the cooldown. Then your ultimate, the Raging Tempest, will supercharge your Thunder Call for its duration, increasing the lightning damage and stacking expertise up to 20 times, while granting a massive 30% haste boost. This is your signature power-up window, and you should align it with the Leap Smash and your Empowered Thunder Call for the maximum burst. And speaking of the Leap Smash, this ability will deserve a special attention. Because of your legendary, every Leap Smash you will land will apply a 20% damage taken debuff to all the enemies hit. Combine that with the haste reducing its cooldown, and this becomes your top priority button, so always open with it, then use it in every burst window, and never sit on the cooldown.